T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you are in the live chat, we do ask you to keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform utilizing tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. I don't even know where to start. So Big John is joining us tonight because we have so much information we want to cover and a couple of things that him and I were looking at earlier today that made us go, Hi, John.
It's your old pal back again one more time.
Just one more time. How you doing tonight, hon?
I'm doing well.
Good. Very good. Ernie.
Yes, ma'am.
How you doing, hon?
Better.
Good.
But spirit's heavy. Mind is scrambled.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of mess going on.
A whole lot of mess going on. All right, guys. So we're gonna, before we even do anything, Ernie's gonna put us in a word of prayer, only because we've just got so much to cover and it's pretty heavy. Go ahead, Ernie.
Dear Heavenly Father, the creator of heavens and earth, thank you so much for allowing us to sit down and be able to discuss all the happenings that's going on in this world today, God. The stuff we're seeing is becoming overwhelming, but God, you told us that we can put our strength, our fears, our worries, and our sorrows on your shoulders, God, because you can bear it all. And God, we come to you for peace. We come to you for strength. We come to you for guidance and wisdom. We come to you for you to just lay your hands upon us in our hearts, God, and we just ask for you to give us your hedge of protection, surround us with your angels as we endure what's to come, God. We're seeing signs in the heavens, we're seeing things below the earth, we're seeing things all over around us, God, that is becoming uncomfortable, it's becoming unbearable, God. But we can find refuge in knowing that you are there with us through the midst of it all. As you parted the Red Sea for the Israelites through Moses, and as you guided Paul, God, we just need you. We need you to help us right now more than ever, God. Your church is being attacked. The body of Christ is being attacked. Our minds are becoming even more scrambled now than ever before, God. We're seeing things happening in a rapid pace and we don't know how to keep up, God. But we know that you are in control of it all, God. We know that you know the end from the beginning, God. We just pray that you continue to guide us and just lead us and just encourage us, like, and remind us that you are here. You do love us. You have paid the ultimate price on the cross for us, God, and we know that you already have won the war. We just ask for you to continue to remind us and protect us from all the stuff that is happening around us now, God. We love you. We honor and praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, it's what we're going to talk about tonight is well, you guys have probably been watching it on the news. It's 10 days ago now, and you're probably wondering why it's taken us 10 days to talk about it. Well, we wanted to watch it unfold. We wanted to see what was going to happen. We wanted to make sure that, this was as bad as it was, and unfortunately it's worse than people are being told. It's even worse than mainstream media is telling us. But for those of you that don't know, on February 3rd, a freight train derailment in Ohio near the Pennsylvania state line left a mangled and charred mass of boxcars in flames as authorities launched a federal investigation and monitored air quality from the various hazardous chemicals in the train. About 50 cars derailed in East Palestine at about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as a train was carrying a variety of products from Madison, Illinois to Conway, Pennsylvania. Rail operator Norfolk Southern said on Saturday, so it was a week ago Saturday. There was no immediate information about what caused the derailment. Since then, we have some video we're gonna play you guys. No injuries or damage to structures were reported. Well, we've got an update on that too. The post-derailment fire spanned about the length of the derailed train cars. Michael Graham, a member of the National Transportation Safety Board, told reporters. The fire has since reduced in intensity but remains active, and two main tracks are still blocked. Norfolk Southern said 20 of the more than 100 cars were classified as carrying hazardous materials, defined as cargo that could pose any kind of danger, including flammables, combustibles, or environmental risks. Graham said 14 cars carrying vinyl chloride were involved in the derailment and have been exposed to fire, and at least one is intermittently releasing the contents of the car through a pressure release device as designed. Guys, vinyl chloride, some nasty stuff, isn't it, guys?
From what I've researched, it's extremely toxic. It's a level 1 carcinogen.
Here is what it looks like on the placard. It's a 1086 on the placard, and I pulled up what the 1086 is. Vinyl chloride is a colorless gas that burns easily. It does not occur naturally. It must be produced industrially for commercial uses. Vinyl chloride is used primarily to make polyvinyl chloride or PVC, a hard plastic resin used to make a variety of plastic products, including pipes, wires, and cable coatings and packaging material. Let me pull this up right here. Vinyl chloride has been found in the air near vinyl chloride manufacturing and processing plants, hazardous waste sites, and landfills. This toxic chemical is known human carcinogen, causing liver cancer, brain cancer, and some cancers of the blood, and it's also associated with breast cancer. Guys, this is some nasty stuff, and they're actually venting it into the air, aren't they?
You know what it don't tell you on there? Now, the MSDS will tell you, and I know it to be what they call an oxygen scavenger. So it displaces oxygen, gets rid of it. Like if you get a whiff of this stuff, you'll suffocate. It literally takes away your breath.
Wow. Well, I mean, this, my brain goes back. I lived through, I don't know if you guys are probably so young in the chat room, you won't know what I'm talking about. But back in the 1970s, I grew up just outside of Niagara Falls, and we had Love Canal that was there. And the Love Canal cleanup cost just billions of dollars. The toxic landfill. Kids were, they literally bulldozed neighborhoods. That's how toxic it was. It just takes me back to that. I'm going to play a quick video for us. Which one do I want first?
Well, here's a funny thing. Didn't that movie do exactly what in the same spot?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Yeah. White Noise.
Yeah, the exact thing. They filmed it in the exact spot in the movie.
Ernie, can you play it for me?
Oh, yeah, go ahead and send it to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Copy.
You might actually already have.
Here we go. I think my video card's just about gone, to tell you the truth. There's the first one there. All right, Ernie's going to play this. I'm going to thank Dabu7 for this video. We got a couple from Dabu. And this is the first one we're going to play. Did you grab it?
I did.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay, give me 1 second here.
I just want to take the opportunity to let you guys know I have a lot of tabs pulled up tonight. We're going to go over this stuff. And I do have a personal witness account that we're going to go through as well. All right. There you go.
This is Dabu7. Some updated info here in terms of this massive release of chemicals that has taken place from this train wreck up here on the Pennsylvania-Ohio border, where they're saying now they believe that the chemicals from this explosion in East Palestine have reportedly contaminated the Ohio River as far as West Virginia. That is the water source for some 5 million people. You can see here they have boat teams out on the water in the Ohio. This is 14 miles from East Palestine in the train derailment. They're taking samples on the river to see what all chemicals are in there. And mind you, we don't know what they're going to come out and tell the population in regards to all this. They came out and evacuated a 1 mile radius around this, but they're saying that people are being affected by this up to 200 miles away. We have animals dropping dead on farms left and right. This is being reported within that radius. We have counties everywhere from very eastern parts of Kentucky all the way through Pennsylvania, up into New York State, the whole region, parts of West Virginia. Anyone that can visibly see this cloud or this plume in the sky, you're potentially affected. Anyone that is downwind from this or downstream, it could go the other way because the Ohio River is going to flow west out of there. So this is huge. The water source for some 5 million people at least being affected by this and could be contaminated, animals dying. And it doesn't seem that the government wants to say much about what's going on. Massive disaster here. We're going to talk about this in greater detail on the live stream tonight. Make sure to join me. Going live Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern on Dabu 777, censorship free. You'll find links below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well for breaking info. Hit that subscribe button for more. This has been Dabu 7. Y'all stay safe out there.
So now, John, you had mentioned prior to us going live about the significance of the Ohio River Valley.
Yeah, for sure. I think he said it about the water. Now, I look at it as I'm just I don't know. I don't like it, but I am so intrigued by the Red Dawn invasion scenario.
Yeah.
One of the main things that Russia wanted to do, there was two choices: either attack Minnesota and split the United States there, or their main goal is to come in to entrance into the Ohio River Valley and work their way down to the Mississippi River Valley, and then fight along that and split that. So that you'll gain not crazy amount of more mileage, but it's just a way that they can cut through from the Arctic into Canada and then split the United States. Literally, they had plans, of course, using strategic nuke strikes to, like in Nebraska and stuff, to knock out comms. They could take that in probably about 28 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
Because,
I've always looked at the Red Dawn scenario as the greatest possibility. And when this Chinese balloon came over Montana and was allowed to come into U.S. airspace, all I kept thinking was, wow, that was way too easy. And knowing the Red Dawn scenario, that was scary.
Because it's always been talked about Russian subs. They used to tease about that, Russian subs in the Great Lakes.
Yeah. It's funny because I grew up along Lake Ontario, and I can remember as a kid, my mom telling me there were subs in Lake Ontario.
I mean, that was such a thing, including in the Red Dawn scenario, to get into the Great Lakes. And then now that we have the Lake Michigan, it's just funny to me that there's two UFO incidents on each side of Palestine, Ohio, in each Great Lake.
Right.
I mean, isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna get into that too. Ernie, can you play the next video talking? Which is the next one I gave you?
You gave me a bunch.
Now the next one, it's the second one. So we have video actually showing sparks and flames well before the Ohio train derailed. Okay, so while you're getting that situated, so Dave has a trucker friend who lives in Palestine, and he spoke with her today, and she said a couple of things. She said, first off, the train was on fire 20 miles outside of Palestine, and because of they've cut back on the number of people that they have on the trains. There used to be, the conductor, the engineer. I mean, used to brakemen. I mean, used to have like 6 or 7 people on these trains. But over the years, they've broken it down, and now they only have 1, maybe 2 people on a train, one in the front, one in the back. So when the train started on fire, it was in the middle of the train-ish, so neither one of them saw it. But what happened is it started on fire. It wasn't caught, and the structural integrity of that part of the train was compromised, and that's why that part of the train fell apart and it derailed. So, but we have video showing the train that sparks, and hopefully we can get it to play.
This video, obtained by our news partners at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, was taken by a security camera at an equipment manufacturing plant in Salem, Ohio, some 20 miles from East Palestine. You can see what appear to be sparks or flames under one of the cars as it passes the plant. The NTSB referenced the video at a news conference earlier this week.
We have obtained 2 videos which show preliminary indications of mechanical issues on one of the rail car axles.
That second video came from a processing plant a mile down the track, also in Salem. In front of that plant is a hot box detector, which scans the temperature of the axles as the train passes and sounds an alert if they're overheated.
The crew did receive an alarm from a wayside defect detector shortly before the derailment, indicating a mechanical issue. Then an emergency brake application initiated.
Now, they are also stating that they're trying to figure out why they did not get a signal off of this hot box detector outside of Salem. So at this point, a lot of questions still swirling around this. There should be alerts going out to anyone within a 100-mile radius of East Palestine. This goes all the way up to Cleveland, Lake Erie. You're talking Wheeling, Morgantown, definitely Pittsburgh. I mean, shout outs to all my people out there. I hope you're aware of what's going on with this. It's already contaminated the Ohio River, and we're seeing animals popping up sick and dying from this already as well. Join me on the live streams, going live Monday, Friday, 9 p.m.
Okay. I'm going to pull this map up. This shows a map of the 200-mile radius of the East Palestine village in Ohio, and this shows where the contamination is. This does not include the waterways going down through the West Virginia and into the Mississippi River. But this is disturbing. Look at this. This includes you, Ernie.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm in that area.
Yeah. Has your news agency, and I'm not going to say the town that you live in, but is your local news reported on this?
I am unaware. I don't listen to news, so gotcha. I listen to the true stuff. So gotcha. I haven't tuned in to see what's going on.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
But well, it'll be a good idea. I'm going to check and I'm going to get back to you about that.
Okay. Well, just when you think it can't get any worse, 3 additional chemicals were discovered in the train. So not only do they have to worry about the vinyl chloride, but now they also are saying that ethylene, glycol, monobutyl ether, ethylhexyl acrylate, and isobutylene are also on the cars. Now, the problem with that is this. Let me pull it up. Here it is. Problem with this is that because they're bleeding it off slowly, they're creating hydrogen chloride acid that's clinging to the water. John, what do you know about this?
That's a lot of things that the water filtration won't work on that stuff. It's kind of, it contaminates it, but like ethylene glycol, that's basically antifreeze you put in your car, coolant. Now when you heat that up, now that's using the oil field, it takes the moisture out of gas. So when you heat that up, it makes benzene is the fume byproduct. And benzene's a quick we also used to laugh about it, but benzene, you got to sniff benzene all day, you'll get cancer by the end of the week. But a lot of it's hard to filtrate that stuff, especially when it gets into water.
Wow.
There's not a lot of filters. You talk about some microns that places don't have. Even the material, I could tell you that in a gas plant, any kind of filter that filters out byproducts of an amine treating chemical, those filters are probably $2,500 for 90 of them. And I just know a lot of your small towns don't have that capability to be filtering out, especially chemicals mixing and burning and all that. It's just turning into all kinds of different byproducts, and you don't
Right.
have the filtration to even deal with that.
Right. Well, this person here, he says, I'm visiting home, and tonight I made a quick trip to the Leslie Run, 4 miles south of the East Palestine derailment. In a single dip of my net, I collected nearly 24 dead or near dead aquatic animals. Not all are pictured. I'm not a fish expert, but I believe there are 12 different aquatic species pictured here. I could see other frogs and salamanders dying on the banks, and this is only one tiny point in a single tributary of the much larger watershed. As I was walking back to the car, I got a notification that the evacuation order had been lifted. When it comes to drinking your well water and breathing in these fumes for extended periods of time, please trust your gut. The evidence is all around us that things are far from okay. I'm going to tell you. So again, Dave talked to his friend, and check this out. All of the emergency equipment that was first responding to this derailment, fire trucks, ambulances, first responder vehicles, are all being condemned and can never be used again. And yet now they're letting people go into their homes.
I'm gonna tell you something that exactly reminds me of. In the military, the paint on a vehicle is called carc, and it's designed to absorb chemical weapons rather than let the chemical weapon into the vehicle with you right away. Well, that's why the paint is literally made to resist that chemical weapon, but you have to take the vehicle down, literally grind it, and put a fresh, it has to be cleaned and disposed of, and then it's put a fresh paint on it. Well, they can't do that to these civilian vehicles, but that's the reason why that stuff is so concentrated. It gets into the paint and the metal of the vehicle, and then that's why it's just you can't use that again, because anybody who drives that vehicle, you're gonna be smelling that stuff.
Right. And in the same thing, I mean, in your homes, the drywall would absorb that also, right?
Yeah, it's going to absorb any kind of like material like that. Once it's heated up and dispersed, as a basically a dispersant, aerosol.
Aerosol, yeah.
It's gonna soak, because it's in between density of the air. It's kind of like humidity. It's going to settle and then soak into whatever it sits on. How dew basically disappears, off your, especially if you live in the South, you wake up, you have, dew on your picnic table outside, and, that's why the wood gets wet or whatever. But it's the same thing. It's condensation, and that's how chemical works, because when it condenses, it turns liquid, and then soaks in whatever it's sitting on. So that's why it contaminates like that.
Is anyone's pets acting weird, not their self? My husky is normally hyper, but since we came home yesterday, she just lays around not eating really. When she does go outside, she just stands there looking around. We have used water from Walmart, but she drinks from the toilet. All kinds of comments here. The same friend of Dave, 2 or 3, I think it was foxes, came into her yard, and they were gasping for air. And she took it to one of the exotic vets in the area, and she said that it's horrible. The wild animals are coming out and just collapsing on people's lawns.
That's
It's-
crazy.
yeah.
It's like it's also like you talk about. It's an 8-front war.
Yeah.
Because that can also be classified as asymmetrical war because you're clearing out the Ohio River Valley. You know what I mean? If animals are leaving, and I mean they're letting people back in there, but how long are people going to stay when they start getting horrendously sick?
Right.
Off the back, it's almost like you're just clearing an area. I mean, like I said, that's how I look at it. I look at it as whatever they can do to literally weaken the United States in a gray state form of, terrorism.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to read this. This is quite interesting. Quote, we basically nuked a town with chemicals so that we could get railroad back open. The Sil Cagliano, hazardous materials specialist on the dangerous chemicals on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, just over a week ago. Take a listen to this.
We now know 3 more chemicals that were on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed here in East Palestine just over a week ago. And we're being told that some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene, glycol, monobutyl ether, ethylhexyl acrylate, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, breached, or on fire. Caggiano says ethylhexyl acrylate is especially worrisome. He says it's a carcinogen, and contact with it can cause burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose, throat, and cause coughing and shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also known to cause dizziness and drowsiness when inhaled.
I was kind of surprised that when they quickly told the people they can go back home, but then said if they feel like they want their homes tested, they can have them tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing.
Caggiano says it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in homes and on objects until you clean them thoroughly.
Oh, there's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad.
Caggiano recommends anyone who's in the East Palestine area get a health checkup. He says get a record of where your health stands now so that moving forward, you have documentation of any possibly related effects to the train derailment.
Again, I'm sorry. This totally reminds me of Love Canal. Going to close more. Go ahead. What?
Does anybody on this panel and in chat have a feeling of righteous anger?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when there's a cover up going on and they're trying, to tell you, you know what? I always say, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. I am smarter than that.
Right.
So with all this stuff going on in East Palestine, Ohio, with the Norfolk Southern train derailment, I grew up about 20 minutes from there in a small town called Latonia, and my parents still live up there. And I just talked to my mom, and she said that the river's contaminated up there. Livestock have been dying. They are evacuating some cows and other livestock to different areas of Ohio. That they were at Walmart a couple days ago, and they came outside and their cars were covered in almost like this tarry sawdust kind of thing. And she went for a walk recently outside, and her friend both felt really sick and short of breath. And basically the EPA and everybody went in, and the railroad told them to get out. So there seems like there's a cover up there. They're telling everybody on the local news that it's okay, but it's not okay. People are getting sick. Animals are dying. Things are tainted. And there's a cover up going on.
Seems when the federal government is involved, there's always a cover up going on.
Always. There isn't denying that. No denying that. I mean, look what we've seen with the UFOs.
Exactly. All right. Going to pull pull up a couple more videos, and then it's just disgusting. Hold on.
You guys scooping out all the dead ones. Well.
They don't want her filming, I guarantee that.
Right. Okay. They're going to have to be scooping quite a bit in order. Look at this. This is. Can I ask? Because I don't know anything about this chemical, but I would think that if it's is it I want to say is it oil based?
It may be. It shows it as a gas when it was transported.
Okay. Because I mean, it just reminds me of like like sticky tar stuff. Because I mean, look at the cloud hanging over. There's been clouds hanging over Palestine for a number of days that look like storm clouds, but they're not.
Yeah, it's pretty sure it's because if you look at the MSDS sheets on that gas, different temperatures make it do things. Like I said, if you condense a gas and you turn it into liquid, so there's no telling what properties that it is, especially the amount of it. I don't think nobody's probably anticipated. They probably use a gas cylinder of it, to make pipe or whatever else out of it, but not.
Big John.
Yes.
Have you studied the properties of that chemical once it's burned?
I've seen it because a lot of times, like I said, when you burn gas, it goes from like CH to like from a chloride to a dioxide because it turns to gas because it's either liquid or gas. You see what I'm saying? Like it'll condense, turn liquid, and then if you burn it, it goes to a dioxide.
And when you burn it, it does change its chemical compound.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's kind of like when H2S gas, you burn it, it turns to sulfur dioxide.
Right.
That's not hydrogen.
And that's why they're saying
anymore.
that they're having now the basically acid rain. They're creating acid rain over it would be over this area right here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from the with the exception of Palestine, Ohio, all the surrounding areas that it actually went into the atmosphere, and if the forecast calls for it to rain, then that can pose a major problem.
Right.
People should be in their homes for that. Like personally, I'm keeping my kids home from school if the forecast calls for rain within the next week, because it's going to take at least a few days for that to veer off the coast.
Right. Exactly.
It's so weird. Well, it's not weird to me, but it's the fact that all that water where it feeds into the Mississippi, well, most of that water obviously feeds like upper level aquifers where most people down in the South have their own private water wells, which aren't very deep anyways.
Right.
And if they can get that to contaminate fast, you got to. Now you're forcing people to go buy water. Like the government can control the water. That nobody's going to go to their private well and drink. It smells like
Nestle has the market cornered on water.
Exactly. So it's like that. This is like perfect asymmetrical war to do all that area of the United States that has the main river that supplies irrigation, and of course it goes back to the ground, and it's, you know, it's aquifers. Everything that soaks in the ground goes into, you know, private water wells.
Right. And
What about filtration?
Like I said, filtration, you got to have these expensive filters to get that out.
Like a reverse osmosis?
Probably a little bit more advanced than that.
Mm.
Because like I said, chemical properties, you'll find reverse osmosis in gas plants. Because when you mix your water with your amine chemical, which is it's a treating chemical, it treats gas, and it takes all the, you know, basically really just CO2 and H2S out of gas, but then you'll get a byproduct of that particular amine chemical once it carries the gas in it. But that's what that's what filtrates the amine, because you're not going to buy amine's very expensive, very, very expensive. So that's why you send it through filtration and then heat, and it basically cleans it. Ethylene glycol is the same way. It takes the moisture out, but you cook it, and then you get byproduct benzene gas. Now, reverse osmosis, you can't have contaminants in the water when you mix the water with the amine, because that's a mixture. You have to mix a water with amine, but the water just can't be any old water you bring. It has some of the most advanced reverse osmosis systems in these plants. So even the water will change the chemical makeup of it and cause literally corrosion. You know, it'll eat out vessels. It's a balanced system. So, but I don't think there's any kind of filtration that, you know, mom and pop's got that's gonna, you know, clean up your water for you. I know a lot of times in the South, especially Mississippi, there's a big sulfur problem, where basically your water smells like rotten eggs. Mm-hmm. And those filtration systems are expensive just to get the sulfur out. And it's more of like the taste. You're not getting all of it because, you know, you know how you take sulfur pills and you kind of, you know, feel warm, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with that water. It takes the taste out, but it doesn't get all the sulfur out. And that's an expensive system. So I'm looking at it as there's always a purpose, and they up to something. Nothing just happens. I mean, you're literally looking at a country that's literally saying, well, it may or may not be aliens, and then they come on today saying, oh no, it's not extraterrestrial at all. It's an octagon shaped thing that's, you know, flying around by itself. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Yeah, there's nothing attached to it.
And that's basically what they're telling the people of East Palestine too, is, you know, don't worry about it. We've got it contained. We've got it under control. You're safe to go back to your houses, and yet it's not safe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like the damn, you know, all these chicken houses burning up, and then the food price. It's like nobody's saying nothing about it. We may know about it, obviously, because, you know, we're into the genre of like, hey, they're trying to do something, right? But they don't acknowledge anything, and nobody finds it weird that, eggs help the spike protein in the vaccine, and all of a sudden these chicken houses,
right,
which are old as hell, are all of a sudden bursting into flames, killing hundreds of thousands of chickens.
Right.
And it's like, well, they're like, no, that's not weird. Lightning struck it, or that's not weird. We saw some guys setting fires over there, but it's okay. They were just, they didn't want the roosters. You know what I mean? It's like
they were just setting backfires. It's okay.
They'll make up all kinds of stuff, and people are like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, well, that sounds good. I'm gonna go back to Super Bowl zone. You know, it's just incredible. You know, I think about when Bill Cooper sat down and explained his book, Behold a Pale Horse. What did he exactly mention? He said they set up the coliseums around the United States to keep your mind focused on the games inside them, while they completely destroy the United States. And when you come out of the coliseums, then you won't recognize where you live. The man said that.
Yep. Cake and circus. Circuses and cake. It's the coliseums. It's no different than it was back in the Roman times, where, you know, they used to pacify the people by putting them in these coliseums and watching them fight off the the Lions. It's no different than yesterday watching the Super Bowl, watching them both, come out and fight to the win. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just modernized it. So, yeah. So, I mean, the ecological impact of this train derailment is going to be seen for probably decades to come.
It's no doubt. Even if, it's like they'll focus on that, but they won't focus on the time. Like, what are the results now? Because they're not doing this for years from now. The time is now. China's not going to wait. Russia's not going to wait. You know what I mean? They get us, well, people will get cancer 40 years from now. There ain't going to be no damn United States. My opinion, by the end of 2025, we're going to have about 50 million people living here.
Right. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I have that. Let me pull it up. We can talk.
The Deagle report. And
I do have the Deagle. Here we go, right here.
And they pulled that so fast.
They pull, it was up for quite a while.
Yeah,
and then,
so somebody mentioned it, then they're like, oh shit, well.
Exactly. If you're not familiar with the Deagle says the forecast for 2025 is we're going to have to decrease this is the United States, by 100 million people.
Take your population now, right, and subtract that. It's like 33%. Isn't that weird?
Nothing to see here. All right. Well, I guess now would be a good time to let you guys know that Palestine isn't just, it's not the only one that happened today. Well, we had 2 more happen today. Officials are responding to a train derailment in Inori. Let's see what this has to say.
We're working to learn more about a train derailment in Spartanburg County. Details are limited right now, but first responders tell us some of the train cars came off the tracks. This is near Highway 221 in the Inori area. We know that CSX officials are on scene and will update you as we know more. We're working to learn.
All right, so that is in North Carolina. Spartanburg County. And that's not the only one. We've got another one in Houston today. Ernie, you had mentioned something. You said one okay, 2 is, what did you say? But 3 is a plot or something like that. What'd you say?
Well, I said 1 is an anomaly.
Anomaly, yeah.
Yeah. 2, got to start to question things. Like something's up. Like,
right.
You never ever really hear about train derailment.
No.
In fact, there's one of the more safer ways to travel.
Right.
I mean, you're basing it off old technology, but it's one of the most effective technologies in the world. And you see 2 in one day, you're like, okay, let's pump the brakes here. We need to figure out what's going on. And this has to be done by design. There's no way to put around it.
Right. Exactly. And so we've got 3 in a week, 3 in 10 days.
Yep.
Houston area crash between a truck and the Union Pacific train kills driver, derails 20 plus rail cars. The cargo on the train included some hazardous materials, prompting Union Pacific to monitor air quality at the site of the crash, according to Splendora Police Department. The truck driver died and several freight cars were derailed during a Monday morning collision northeast of Houston. Crash between an 18-wheeler and a Union Pacific train occurred shortly before 7:30 a.m. Monday along Interstate 69 US 59 near its intersection with Fostoria and Midline roads between the towns of Splendora and Cleveland, according to Lieutenant Troy Teller of the Splendora Police Department. He said 21 train cars were derailed in the collision and that a hazardous material team from Union Pacific was on site and monitoring air quality as a precaution. Really? 3 and 10 days.
I tell you what, I would love to see the manifest for that, for those Connex boxes.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, huh?
When they say some, it means a lot.
Yeah.
One thing I learned about listening to the government and the news.
Well, they can
always
say
the opposite
hazardous.
of what they say.
They can say hazardous to keep you away, but I'd be like, I wonder what's in those Connex boxes.
Yeah, exactly. The manifest on that would be quite interesting because, I mean, look, like Ernie just said, you know, train is usually one of the safer of transportation. And now, you know, 2 in 1 day. I mean, I get that one was caused by the 18-wheeler, so it wasn't really a derailment per se, but still. Now, the EPA, they have, I guess, under the Trump administration, but it wasn't Trump that voted for it, was Congress during his administration, voted to kind of put more leniency on how they transport these chemicals.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it's quite concerning. What's even more concerning, we're not hearing a peep from our Congress nor our Senate.
well, they're too busy with those UFOs, those unidentified flying objects.
They're not even busy with that. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hearing anything about anybody. They're all in office fighting over freaking Twitter, and yet stuff that's a little bit more important.
They should be concentrating on our debt ceiling, is what they should be doing.
Well, that too.
You
know? They're not even focusing on that. But
they're
I mean,
this is
even more important. This is detrimental to the health and well-being of the American people, and they're not even batting an eye at this.
No, they're not.
All of the Republicans who people, you know, praise and put up on a pedestal that's out to fight for us hasn't even said anything about any of this stuff that's been going on. I've been tracking it for the past couple of days now, especially from Palestine. Nobody's really saying anything. And we have our puppet in chief out there saying nothing about it. Don't even know what to say half the time. And when he's asked questions, he just turns around and walks away.
The thing is, you think Congress, I've heard several people say that they know congressmen with their families all took ivermectin, never took that damn vaccine. Congress is a show. There may be a few of them here and there that, you know, really, you know, care. But if you don't think Congress got their bunkers ready or bug out to their $1 million homes in Costa Rica and get the hell out of Babylon, they got planes ready to go. I believe half of them are already damn left. Because nobody knows. Washington, D.C. is damn empty every time you see a video of it. There's nobody walking around that entire fucking place. And,
oh, yeah.
And then they're just, you know, now they're like, you know, they're wearing fur coats and it's like, it's a huge show. It really is to me. Because they're not doing anything.
Right.
They're not going to stick around. You think they're going to be like, we're going to fight an invasion, actual engagements with military? You think they're going to stick around and be like, we're going to fight for the people? They're going to save their own butts.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And everything that we see on television, they have that down on the ground.
That's what I'm saying. You know, think about it. I'm not QAnon, but if you looked all the times that Joe Biden was in a fake White House, and then they really got a fake White House, you know, at Tyler Perry's backyard, and it's like, and then you see Washington D.C. literally empty. There's nobody ever walking around that place. Even when they go over there and they might catch Dan Crenshaw and they kind of mess with him a little bit. There's nobody else.
Yeah, everything is gated off.
And it's like, well, how do you even know that there is anybody there? You know what I mean? How do you know? And I see, and it's too easy for me. And I'm not a smart person. Think about it. People are like, I saw something today. Well, let me tell you why the United States could not get invaded. Here's the thing: you're being invaded at the border. That's number one. There are tens of thousands. There's an old man in Arizona in jail. He fired upon some fifth column forces. He literally says they got AK-47s and wearing camouflage with backpacks, tons of them on his land. He shoots up in the air. One of the rounds actually hits a guy, kills him. They put him in jail. He literally got engaged by fifth column forces, Red Dawn forces, and they put him in jail. 73-year-old man. And then you look at like the members of Congress. How can you really say that these people are there? You have a whole civil war in this country. People from Central Texas on over to California. There wasn't a whole lot of population, but people in California, the gold rush was what, 20 years before the Civil War. They never ever heard of a Civil War. So you can't tell me there can't be engagements right now on American soil and we wouldn't know about it.
Right.
Literally, easily. I mean, yeah, you got TikTok and stuff, but I'm sorry to tell you, you can literally have battles going on, and the other half of the United States would never even know it.
Exactly.
Only if it's reported. Only if somebody lucky enough, to be over there and get a TikTok off or get a Facebook Live off or whatever. But it's just people saw that we're the strongest now. I'm sorry to tell you, I like the United States, but it's just I've known this for a long time.
Yeah. No,
at one point we were.
You're right.
When we all had our own ways of defending ourselves, when we all were pro country, pro God, and pro life, that's been long gone.
It's hard.
They're successful already with their agendas.
But the bad part of it is when you've got people that are patriotic and they do support the Constitution and they do love our country, not our government, you're labeled as a domestic terrorist.
And a
That's
racist.
Exactly it.
And a racist.
And an orange man lover.
Exactly.
Well,
When they don't understand, the left and right paradigm is a lie. They do that to pit you against one another.
Oh, gosh, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Babylon. We're all Daniel.
Exactly.
We're all captive.
Exactly.
It's hard to wake up to an occult democracy. It really is. I get it. But you just look back at the United States has been the ones that have done everything by false flag or Luciferian agenda the entire time.
Yeah, we are not the good guys.
I mean, we haven't been a nation since we signed the Articles of Incorporation.
That's right. 1851.
We're all under the crown.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I mean, the Revolutionary War, we really didn't win the Revolutionary War. And when the war was over, the British never left. So, I mean, we've got those things. I don't want to cut us off, but I do want to play the next video real quick because I do have breaking news. And so let's play that first.
The Ohio train derailment, one of the worst toxic exposures that we could have besides graphene and everything else I've been talking about.
And the East Palestine Fire Department field is now safe to be in the evacuation area.
We know that it was highly combustible and there were concerns that it could be an even worse explosion. But we do know that there are more concerns that there are other chemicals that were carried in those railway cars. And it's adding to a list of concerns and mistrust that residents have in East Palestine, Ohio, about returning to their homes. Is it too soon?
These aren't storm clouds. This is their success. That ain't no storm cloud. That's the shit from East Palestine.
Well, Adrian and Mitch, this is a concerning new update for residents living in the East Palestine area. This morning, we are learning that more chemicals, not just vinyl chloride, were on the Norfolk train that derailed over a week ago in Ohio. New this morning, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating these 3 other chemicals were also aboard in some of those rail cars that caught fire. We spoke to a hazardous materials specialist who says that some of these chemicals are carcinogen.
There's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad.
And this video here, News Nation acquired of dead fish in cloudy water. Residents say they've also seen sick animals, and their homes in town are still covered in debris.
Then you got the tyranny enforcers arresting the press for talking about the story. They're going to die too.
Correspondent Evan Lambert, while covering a press conference in Ohio yesterday, or anything, about 25 seconds in is when the audio picks up. So keep an eye on your screen. Oh, there we go. We can drop that banner there. You can see Evan giving his live report there. That's while he was on rush hour. They tell him to stop, and you'll see someone come up and appear to put his hand on Evan's arm right there. Okay, let's listen.
I am allowed to be here. Did you not see that man? You were told to shut it down. You continued on. Go. Now. Or you can go to jail. Sir, you want to go to jail for criminal trespassing? Listen. Do you want to go to jail for criminal trespassing? Do you understand how quickly our lawyers will get me out? I don't care. Sorry, can we? I don't care. Go. Out the door. Out the door. Out the door. By other media regularly. I'm going to listen. I don't care. You're going to walk out the door. I'm going to listen. You're going to walk out the door. Come on out, sir. You're going to walk out the door, or you're going to jail. Do not touch me. Sir, can we talk outside, please? I am trying to talk outside, please. And de-escalate before me. I am doing my job. This is covered by the First Amendment. Excuse me, sir. I'm the building supervisor here. Please leave. There you have it. Right there. You're going to stand outside. You also. Or you're going to jail. Let's go. Let's go. You're under arrest. This is bad. Stop. I am on the ground. What are you trying to do? And the EPA's out here testing chemicals like, oh, everything's fine when you see things dying all around you. It's completely ridiculous.
The EPA, Norfolk Southern, and hundreds of tests have been performed, confirming the water and air are in good living condition.
The vinyl chloride, I know that's the most common thing heard right now. That was below detectable limit.
Some tanker cars were also carrying vinyl chloride, a dangerous odorless chemical used in packaging. And the CDC warns that breathing in the gas over a long period of time could be connected to brain, lung, and blood cancers. We spoke to a renowned consumer advocate who says she doesn't believe those safe tests, and residents should be taking pictures and videos of everything they see.
After 30 years of what I've been through and what this community is going through, they know. Come on, it's vinyl chloride. It's in the air. The fish are dying. Really? Does that give you comfort that maybe I should be in this area? Probably not.
And the worst part is you got this Netflix film that people put out called White Noise, which predictively shows what was going to happen. They show the train get derailed and they show the explosion. They show it all. And then they talk about how the city, it needs to be evacuated, and they're calling this the toxic incident. How did they know this was going to happen?
I am currently in Negley, Ohio. I'm at the corner of By Road and US 170 North. This is the bridge that goes over top of Leslie Run. This is their filter barrier that they have currently. But I think it's important for people to see the dead fish. I'm going to walk under the bridge here above and show you. Coming right up, another fish. There's hundreds of them up here in this area across here. Hundreds. Another fish. Another fish. They're just everywhere.
You guys scooping out all the dead ones?
Okay, this goes on to the ones that I showed. So yeah, that movie, two things. The movie White Noise was filmed in Willoughby, Ohio. And a lot of the extras that played in that movie were people from Palestine. Nothing coincidental about that, right?
You know what? I want to know who that military guy was grabbing that reporter first.
Okay, yeah, okay. So what happened was he did not get arrested for reporting on the incident. What happened was he was there reporting on the governor who was scheduled to give a press conference. And what happened was they were waiting, and it was like 2 hours over the time he was supposed to speak. And this guy, he is the news anchor for like the 6 o'clock news. Well, the time came that he had to go live, and so he went to the back corner of the auditorium and he started his live broadcast. Well, at the same time, the governor started his news conference, and the people in the back were trying to tell this guy, look, you're being disruptive. Can you stop your broadcast? And he's like, I can't. I'm live. I'm on live TV. I'm the only reporter that, I'm it. Well, when he refused to cut the feed, that's when they arrested him. So it's being investigated. The governor even said that these people overreacted and it never should have happened. So, but that was the reason why. It wasn't because he was reporting on it. So one more thing we got to go over, and that is the UFO that they shot down over Lake Huron. John's got some information about that, but I do want to let everybody know, breaking news right now, there is an active shooter right now at Michigan State University. I just got done texting my husband. Our niece is there. He said that she's barricaded in her room. Doors are locked. Dressers are up against the door. Lights are out. Shades are pulled. Please get your group to pray for Johanna's safety and for a swift end of the situation. So I will keep you guys updated on that. So that is taking place actually right now as we speak. Okay, so John, you and I had talked about the significance of the Great Lakes.
Yes.
And we had talked about how you said that, there was things underneath the Great Lakes that they had discovered and that they have they've hidden from us, correct?
Definitely.
Okay. So here we have this UFO for, you know what? Let's just call it what it is, because they're not telling us, so it's unidentified. So they've shot down this UFO over Lake Huron. Take a look at this, guys. Traces of a 9,000-year-old lost unknown civilization discovered in Lake Huron. John, you've been telling us there's been things underneath this lakes. Are you under the impression that these things could be coming out of the water?
Yeah, very possible. It's just, I've come across so many stories, whether it's what I've read or actually heard from people, seeing craft come out of the water. It's like it's been happening for a long time, but the Great Lakes just hold the significance that they have the metal that, it has the regeneration powers.
Copper.
Yeah, copper. It's a conductor, and these pure copper from this, it's blue copper found in the Great Lakes only, and nowhere else in the world. And so much evidence, obviously, of the Phoenicians being there after Pangea split, And this was the stomping grounds of the Egyptians when Pangea was together. Nephilim, basically. And there is so much stuff. There's a pyramid in Superior for sure. I know that for a fact.
Wow.
And it's so these things come out of the water. I wouldn't bat an eye, like you say. I wouldn't even be like, oh yeah, cool, there it is. It would not surprise me whatsoever. But there's so much stuff on the bottom of those Great Lakes.
Right. And I mean, they're not going to tell us. I mean, they're not going to say these are extraterrestrial. They're not extraterrestrial. They're not going to say these things are what they are. They're telling us that they're unable to tell us what they are. They just know that it's an unknown propulsion system, and so it remains unidentified. Again, mass hysteria. I don't know.
It could be. There's been so many rituals, and then of course a huge blood sacrifice in Turkey. If any kind of dimensional things had to be shifted and opened, this is the time. Because, like you said, after the earthquake happened,
yeah,
at the same time, you have a Ishtar ceremony at the Grammys.
Yeah.
Then you get your blood sacrifice right at the same time, and all of a sudden, all these aerial phenomenon starts happening.
It's almost like they broke open something underneath the Euphrates River. I mean, we know for a fact that God has bound the 4 angels underneath the Euphrates, and they weren't going to be set free until it dried up. Well, guys, it's dried up, and now with this huge earthquake, it could have cracked it open and unleashed them.
Well, yeah, with the Euphrates drying up, or their version of the Euphrates, if you will. Yeah, things are coming to a head in full steam. That order out of chaos is going to be coming real soon.
Exactly. Well, prayers are up for everybody in Palestine. I'm sorry. I lived through Love Canal. The fact that they had Erin Brockovich on one of the videos, that says a lot. If she's getting involved, she even knows.
Isn't that a movie?
Yeah, Erin Brockovich was a real person. She was a woman who took up for she fought the EPA, and she won.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, there's a similar situation, out here in the New Mexico and Texas with the water, because to get when you have produced water out of the ground, which comes out of an oil well, they just inject it back into the ground.
Right.
And there's so many of these wells that are, either they were dry hole, which means that they didn't have any oil in them, but they did have water. And these are drilled in the 20s, 30s up until the 50s and 60s. And some of them were, they were converted to an injection well from a producing well. And now they're all like coming to life. And there's literally where they're spewing, brine water, which is, salt, like just a heavy salt water.
Mm-hmm.
And there are literally lakes out here that one of them's been flowing since 2003, literally coming from a pipe out of the ground. And it's made its own lake, and it's getting into there's going to be, literally no kind of drinking water. If you come on this side of the world and go to a restaurant, the water's sketchy to me.
Right. Right.
So,
well, I mean, when you think about it, because, now Nestle's bought up most of the water rights in California. And, what they're doing is they're basically taking water, our clean water, making it off limits to us, bottling it and selling it back to us. And yet, if you look at the population on the east coast of the Mississippi, that's where most of our population is in the United States. So the fact that the majority of the people that live in this country live in the area east of the Mississippi. And now you have this catastrophe, this ecological catastrophe happening, contaminating the majority of the drinking water in the East Coast. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's going to get into the groundwater. It's going to get into the water tables. It's going to get into people's wells. So even they aren't safe. So what better way? Hey, we'll just sell you back the water.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what they wanted to do, because that's the problem of survivalists and preppers. If people have their own water supply, well, if you can control the food, and obviously you need water more than food. In other words, you last a lot longer.
Yeah.
But it's just like, if you can't have your own private water well, and then they control the world's water supply, like a movie was about that. It's like, that's that's asymmetrical war. That's what you did. You stopped the water, you stopped the movement, you got control of the food. You're basically that's the whole principles of a military operation.
Mm-hmm. Control the people, or control the water, control the food, control the people.
Yeah, and it's like, when you stop the movement, that's the biggest thing. You can worry about controlling everybody later, but if you stop transportation, you got them. That's a done deal.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to definitely keep an eye on this in the next few weeks, most definitely, because these people are not out of the water, they're not out of danger yet. Even though they're being allowed to go back into their homes, that doesn't really mean anything. I don't believe it's safe for them to even be in their homes at this point.
Oh no. I mean, the air quality, as well as, that those types of chemicals leaching onto, the surfaces and whatnot, it's not ideal. Right.
Exactly. But all right, guys, I'm going to end this for tonight. Went a little bit over. I was only thinking we were going to do an hour, but we did an hour and 15. So if you guys want me to come back, I can come back and I can play the Michigan State for you if you guys want me to. If not, we will see you guys on Wednesday night. John, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we'll be back on Wednesday when we talk about portals.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, so let me know if you want, give in the chat room if you want me to come back. If not, I'm going to call my husband and see what's going on. So, Ernie, you want to take us out?
Yes. I actually would like to end the broadcast with another prayer. Obviously, with the events surrounding today, definitely need it. I always say that we need to rely on the Most High God for every aspect of our lives. No matter what we do, no matter what we experience, we must glorify Him, because He's the only way to get out of this mess. And without bringing this spirit of fear, this is predicted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands and thousands of years ago, it was written down what is going to happen in the final days, and we are witnessing it right now. Many people throughout our generations have more than likely said the same, but yet at the scale that we're in right now, I firmly believe that this is it. We are the last generation. So it is time to put on your whole armor of God on. Now, everything we just mentioned to you, we don't want to bring in the spirit of fear. 2 Timothy 1 states that God doesn't provide the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. So we have to understand that we are blowing the trumpets for you. Me and Lori talked about this earlier today. Only thing we can do is tell you what is surrounding us right now, what is happening. You have to understand that God is in control. And whether or not you want to accept the stuff that is going on is pointing to the end of days, that is on you. I lost friends. I lost family members over the stuff that I know and tried to present to them. But they don't want to accept the fact that we are under duress right now as a nation and as a world. So with that said, I would like to end this in fear. Oh, not in fear, but in prayer. to let you know that God is with you as long as you come to him. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer as you call us to do every waking hour and day, to confide in you, God, to seek counsel from you, to provide us with a way for us to shine the light in a dark world, God. I think about Lori's family who's going through some issues right now. I pray for the people, the students at Michigan State who is locked down and trying to be safe from people who is trying to destroy their lives. I pray for the people in Ohio, in the northeast corner of the United States, who is going to be enduring some toxic chemicals, God. I pray that you place your hand on those towns and those cities and cover them with your grace, God, to protect them from the chemicals that has been inflicted upon these cities, God. I pray for those down south who are going through train derailments as well. We're seeing chaos all over the world. We pray for people in Turkey who are on our hearts right now as we continue getting reports of people dying from that earthquake, God. God, only you know what's really going on. We have an idea, but only you knows the enemy's forces are hard at work right now and what they are doing. You know what's going to happen next, God. I just pray that you keep our eyes focused on you instead of the world, God, because we focus on the world, we will be left astray. You said in your word that the hearts of many will grow cold from what they will see happening in this world, God. That's why I pray that you use us to raise up your church and point their eyes at you, God. And I just pray that you continue to show us your glory, your strength, and your power through this all, God. We love you. We honor you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Until the next bat time, same bat channel. Remember, we're not here to bring fear. Eyes open and don't have any fear. Good night.
Good night, everybody.